Welcome to Get Rich Education with Keith Weinhold, giving you information and ideas on the investment that has turned more ordinary people into millionaires and billionaires than anything else, and can provide you with more wealth and happiness than you ever thought possible. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, and educator, Keith Weinhold.
Hey, my name's Keith Weinhold. Welcome to the Get Rich Education Podcast, show number 5. Thanks so much for stopping by. You just heard my show introduced as focusing on the investment that has turned more ordinary people into millionaires and billionaires than anything else. For those of you that are new here, know that that investment is real estate. It's simple buy and hold real estate investing where you don't set it up such that you are the landlord dealing with tenants, toilets, and termites. That's not your best and highest use. We focus on generating wealth passively, meaning that you don't have to work to make that income show up. It's what I've been doing for more than 12 years. Note that most people think that making their money work for them is fascinating. Some even spend lots of their time and money learning about how to best make their money work for them. Well, that's not good enough for Get Rich Education. Here, you spend time learning how to make other people's money work for you ethically in a way that actually serves others. If you're new to the show, go back and listen to episode number 1 and episode number 2. One needs to first be aligned with the appropriate mindset. Episodes 3 and 4 provide you with more actionable content. At the end of each show, you'll hear that this show reveals what the wealthy won't tell you about real estate and investing. It's not that the wealthy don't want to tell you about real estate and investing, it's that your network doesn't even include those types of people that will pull you up and provide a means and an awareness to know that those opportunities exist for you. I'm here to change that for you. The great news is that a lot of the strategies of the wealthy that we talk about here apply to those that are not wealthy. Well, the United States and a lot of places in the world used to be more culturally and racially separated than they are now. A lot of good has come from the fact that many places in the world are more integrated along those cultural, ethnic, and racial lines. You're more likely to have different races living in the same neighborhood today than you did in the 1950s or even the 1990s. However, it can be argued today pretty easily that there's now a greater separation along lines of income. Today, you're more likely to live in a neighborhood of people with different cultural or ethnic backgrounds, yet they have more equal financial prosperity and annual income. So if you're lower class or middle class and you want to thrive, you're even less likely to mingle with the wealthy today than yesterday. Some exclusive neighborhoods are literally putting up walls and street gates with passcodes so that it's more difficult to access the wealthy, see their lives, think their thoughts. Well, there's no wonder that there's a greater disparity between the wealthy and the poor now than there used to be, and it's one that continues to widen rather than be bridged for all kinds of reasons. I'm here to help change that, to share the investing techniques of the wealthy with everyone. The financial industry is legendary for having slick salespeople that can sell a buyer on why a property or an investment is right for them, and that buyer might buy it just based on that influential salesperson and the fact that they've heard that real estate has made a lot of people wealthy. Be careful. Financial advisors can act like they know what's best for you more than you know what's best for you. And if you're here, you're smarter than that. It's counterintuitive, but in real estate, when it comes to property selection, the property is really only the 4th most important thing. You're like, the 4th most important thing? What's the first? It starts with you. Do you want more equity growth without the monthly income? Do you want more monthly income, which is passive cash flow? Or do you want more privacy? Maybe you want more lifestyle use out of your investment property at a beach destination, for example, and on and on. Secondly, it's picking the right market, especially with respect to geography and property type in that geographic market that will most likely secure what you want. Thirdly, it's surrounding yourself with the right team in that market, the professionals like the right agent, the right mortgage loan officer, property inspector, and property manager. Then and only then is it fourthly about the property itself that will secure those three attributes above. That's why we haven't talked about detailed property selection on this show yet. It's worth going through these 4 steps above in that order. That's why today I want to talk more about you. We're going to go on to show you how passive returns of anything less than 25 to 30% per year are considered disappointing and generally with less risk than stocks or mutual funds. But if you don't understand you first, then you're much less likely to find the right property for you. Take your time. This is get-rich education. It's not get-rich-quick education. You don't want to have a rental property just to say you have a rental property. If that's all you're doing, you'll end up with property that doesn't produce passive income if that's what you're looking for. You're more likely to end up with a type of property that includes tenants that want to turn your fourplex into their beer pong palace and flush their beer cans down the toilet. The class of tenant and people that think it's a great idea to change their motorcycle oil in the living room. Now, if you're new to this, in this whole cultivating your abundance mindset, well, that alignment might be a little off. What's with the mindset? Some might wonder, dude, what's with all the psychology and philosophy? Just give me the actionable bits that I need to move ahead. Well, you can't do that if you don't have the right mentality first. Those that don't understand the importance of mindset put a ceiling on their growth. You've been exposed to a lifetime of people and influences that are focused on living below their means. Well, you can only cut so far to the downside. Instead, listen to episode 1 and 2 and see the eye-opening possibilities when you expand your means. Some have called those shows life-changing, and I'm grateful for those comments. As far as today's show, it's expansionary in nature too. And for today's show, I'm here to tell you that the student is here. Yes, the student is here. You're like, Keith, don't you mean that the teacher is here? No, I'm trying to make a point. Even as an investing educator, I'm more of a student. You are too, and you always will be, because there will always be more that I don't know than what I do know, and the same goes for you. I mean, shoot, even one of Michelangelo's most often quoted lines comes from when he was 87 years old when he said, "I am still learning." Okay, so everyone you meet in life knows something that you don't know. Did you realize that? Everyone you meet knows something that you don't know. So always be mindful of that. It's hard to learn and look good at the same time. But if you can humble yourself enough to consider yourself a student in a sense, even within a subject that you have expertise on, you take an attitude of gratitude, cooperation, and being open-minded. Some hold the antiquated viewpoint of, "Oh, no, you can't tell me anything. I've been doing this a long time and I know all about that." Well, that's not expansionary either. That creates a climate of contracting, shrinking. That's living below one's mental means. Now, realize that everyone has an ego. Yeah, everyone has an ego. It's just that some egos are bigger than others. Even when I go to a local real estate investor meeting where there are lots of beginners looking to buy their first income property, you can still look for me as the one sitting at the front of the class taking notes. That's expansionary. Think in expansionary terms. All right, how many Amazon promo codes is it going to take for you to achieve wealth? How much shopping for the cheap gasoline station is it going to take for you to achieve wealth? How many overtime hours would you have to work to achieve wealth? The answer to any of the above is neither, none, you can't do it. You're focused on contracting rather than expanding. Saving yourself rich doesn't work. No one shrinks their way to wealth. Just say it out loud. It doesn't pass the say it out loud test. I'm going to shrink my way to wealth, said no one ever. That sounds ridiculous, because it is. Well, some rationalize that they're going to be conservative, scarcity-minded savers now, right? If you live a hard life now, you can live better later, is what they think. Well, do you want to live below your means now so you can live better later? Or would you rather live it up now, knowing that you then have to live below your means later when you're older? The bad news is, by even asking that question, someone's not thinking big and they won't live the life that they could have lived. You know what the answer is. The abundant answer is that you're going to live well both now and later. That's the good news. Well, then are you going to choose a life both now and later of great experiences or one of nice surroundings? Which one? Again, it's kind of a trick question. The answer is both great experiences and nice surroundings, both now and later. Someone told you that you can't have your cake and eat it too? Well, then what good is cake if you can't eat it? There's a humorous slogan that Trump Hotels uses, and it's, whoever said less is more, never had more. It's kind of funny. Whoever said less is more, never had more. And then the follow-up line is, why have more when you can have it all? So I'm just having some fun with words here, but the point is that when you wire your mind toward expansionary behavior, learning, acting, and then enjoying the results, you're establishing lasting wealth, both sooner and later. The number one reason that people are not wealthy is because it doesn't occur to them that they can be. Many that begin down the road to wealth think it just couldn't be that simple, but it is. You choose. We are not born winners or losers, but choosers. Get Rich Education focuses on the word rich as financial wealth. Yes, of course, it's so much more than that. Don't just get rich, live rich. Your financial life intersects with every other facet of your life, your physical fitness, your social connectivity, your family relationships, your spirituality, your sense of security, your free time, your ability to travel, everything. In order to know what you really want from your financial life, you need to know what you want out of life. Most people haven't opened up the bookends enough in their life to figure out what they really want. They don't live nearly enough of life's complete spectrum or anywhere close. Well, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see further. To use an American football analogy, most people live life between the 40-yard lines. They're living within narrow bookends. Most people put in a good day at their workaday job, and that is their greatest ambition of production, pushing the production direction only as far as the 40-yard line. Accordingly, their consumption pattern corresponds to the mirror image. Their most expansive consumption might be attending a pro football game in person, or going on vacation just once or twice a year to a familiar domestic destination, or working out at the same gym that they've been going to for 5 years and going through largely the same motions there at the gym. They can only push the consumption pattern to that 40-yard line in that direction. Now, there's nothing wrong with the above, nothing at all. It's that too many are stuck in survive mode when they could be thriving. It's that misallocation of resources. They see photographs of delicate arch in Arches National Park, Utah, in their friend's Facebook feed, and they would like to see it themselves, but they don't go there. They see that someone has a calendar at work with stunning photographs of Midtown Manhattan skyscrapers or Cambodia's exotic Angkor Wat, but they think, I'd like to go there, but it's all right, I don't need to. That's kind of somebody else's life. Well, they're right in that they don't need to. Well, life would be pretty bland if we were only concerned with filling needs. They don't know how having those experiences makes they and their loved ones feel. I'll tell you, when I have those experiences expanding my consumption bookend down to the 20-yard line, I want more of those experiences. I'm motivated to resultantly go back then and push my production bookend from its existing 20-yard line down to the 10-yard line by learning about and doing my first real estate 1031 tax-deferred exchange like I did a few years ago, and selling 2 smaller apartment buildings and exchanging them tax-free for 2 bigger ones. So that way I can go out and push my consumption bookend down to the 10-yard line by touching orange lava with a wooden stick in Hawaiian Volcanoes National Park and going to Nicaragua and learning how to surf, to come back and find out how to resultantly push my production bookend down to the 5-yard line and buy my first international real estate, and so on. Notice that I don't let production fall behind consumption. Basically, when you find out how wide a spectrum of life there is to experience, that becomes a motivator, and you want to produce more so that you can experience more and make you want to enjoy a wider life spectrum. It also makes you want to give more so that the less fortunate can share a wider spectrum of life, and they can push life past their 40-yard line. If that's not expanding your means rather than simply living within your existing means, then I don't know what is. You don't even know what you don't know. Life is made up of time. Time's all we've got. With your limited resource of time, what kind of experiences are you filling it with? What do you plan to fill it with? Learn to produce more, and you can experience more. Widen the bookends. Widen them out. You are the only one who can determine what you really want, but have you tried experiencing enough of the full spectrum of life to know what you really want? Or do you just assume that you would know what it's like to speak Spanish fluently to Colombians in Medellin, or perform an Eskimo role in a kayak on the New River, or donate your time to build a house for Habitat for Humanity right in your community, or climb on top of Half Dome in Yosemite National Park and see how freeing that feels? You have to know what you want before you can know how to get it. Most haven't even given themselves the chance to find out what they want yet. People put off what they want to do until they're too old to do it. Don't do that. Cash in on your time wealth. Realize it. The difference between believing something and knowing something is doing something. Developing your own capacity to create real value in the world is what builds your financial prosperity. You've got to begin with the end in mind. What are you going to measure your prosperity in? I mean, mine might be summed up as the extent to which I'm living well and giving well to others. Yours might be different. It probably won't be exactly that. If I woke up dead tomorrow morning, at least I can say that I lived well and gave well. I don't measure my prosperity in what I've accumulated. Now, what I've accumulated helps contribute to how I measure prosperity, but it isn't prosperity itself. I've got a few dozen residential rental units, lots of vacant land, some producing agricultural parcels, productive oil and gas wells, precious metal bullion, etc. But in life, that's not the thing. It merely fuels the thing, living well and giving well. What's your thing? People fixate on money so much that it's to their own detriment. Some people tend to put what appears to be an outsized focus on an accumulation of financial wealth with less thought to living well themselves or giving well to others, or whatever their measure of prosperity is and what gives life meaning. They show all the outward signs of giving more thought to financial well-being than their own physical health, their relationships, their spirituality. And I'm not even going to say that they're wrong. Some, unfortunately, even give more thought to their financial state than they do to their own reputation. All right, well, I have a question for all of those people. And you can try this yourself, okay? First of all, come up with an amount of money that it would take for you to be financially free far and away, such that you would never have to do anything for money again. For some people, that number might be $10 million. For some, it might be $200 million. Let's just say it's $10 million. Okay, now let me ask you this. What other important non-financial facet of your life would you let die and take that $10 million in exchange for? Would you completely give up your family and abandon your spouse and your children? Well, of course not. Would you take $10 million and trade it for your very own vitality, your health, and be stricken with a physically degenerative joint disease to the point where you were limited to a wheelchair for the rest of your life? Well, of course you wouldn't do that for $10 million. You see, when what is really important in life is taken away from you, only then do you better understand what money means to you and how you're able to put it in its proper place. You already knew that money isn't everything, and now you can see that it's not even the most important thing. Our mission at Get Rich Education is to show you how to have more money in your life, but realize that you can get rich and be rich without ever having a lot of money. You have a life. Don't forget to live it. Always be pushing those bookends. So, well, hey, I hope that was helpful and you found some of that thought-provoking today. Stop back next week for content that's more concrete and actionable. And if you like the podcast, hey, I'd be so grateful if you left a rating and a review at iTunes or Stitcher. That increases the show's visibility. I provide the show to the listener for free, and in every Get Rich Education episode, I haven't said one word that anyone has paid me for. If there's a podcast out there that does accept advertising, I have no problem with that as long as they give something of value to the listener. Hey, for my listeners, I've got to tell you, I am grateful for all of your downloads as our podcast has, to me, improbably shot up close to the top of all the United States business podcasts after our first 4 episodes. You are to thank for that. In fact, I've really been in some disbelief about that this past week. If I've provided you with value, it takes just a few clicks to leave an iTunes review or a Stitcher review, and either are greatly appreciated. Once you do that, be sure to go out and don't quit your daydream.
You've been listening to the Get Rich Education podcast, telling you what the wealthy won't tell you about real estate and investing. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to visit iTunes and leave your comments.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Get Rich Education, LLC exclusively.